The purple worm, sculpted out of clay and made with over 70 real fossilized shark's teeth. That's this week on Tabletop Witchcraft. Hey there, and welcome back to Tabletop Witchcraft. This week, we're going to be crafting the purple worm, something I've wanted to make now for over 3 years. You see, I was on vacation with my kids, we were walking a beach in Florida, and there were hundreds, if not thousands, of shark's teeth all over this beach. And when I saw these, I knew I had to incorporate them into my purple worm build someday. So here it is, over 70 teeth in this one craft, along with some rocks that my daughter found as well. Makes a craft like this that much more special. Now, a couple really quick announcements I want to make. My love of the Lone Wolf book series as a kid. It's a choose-your-own-adventure book series. I cannot tell you how many times I've read the entire thing. Magnum.com, they're redoing it. Look at this artwork. It's gorgeous. Check them out. I'll have a link down below. Now, you're all super observant, so I know you've seen this shirt, and you're wondering, what is this shirt that I am wearing? It's from this week's video sponsor, Into the AM. I'm a huge t-shirt and jeans guy. And the shirts not only have to feel nice, but they have to fit right too. And I'll tell you, this company knocked it out of the park. It's a 60-40 cotton polyester blend shirt. They've got amazing designs. Designs on the front, some shirts, they got them on the back too. If designs aren't your thing, they offer a whole bunch of their product line with no designs at all. So you can see what they have on their website. How do you do that? Link down below in the description. It'll get you 10% off your entire order. Plus, it'll let them know that you've come from me. So if you go down there and check them out, link right down there, click it, you're going to love it. Now, I want you to leave a comment down below also if you can tell me how many of their shirts you've spotted in my video. The big thing for me is going to be not getting sculpt-a-mold and paint and everything else on these awesome shirts. One last final major announcement, www.tabletopwitchcraft.com. That's right, I got a website now, and I've listed in there everything I use on my channel. It's a great setup where I've taken pictures of everything, not from online, but from within this studio. So if it's in here, it's on my website. I've got links on there for all of my merchandise for you to check out. I've got links in there to affiliates, which will give you discounts, as well as links to all your favorite Tabletop Witchcraft videos. And I don't know about you, but I'm ready to start crafting. So here we go. Let's go grab the supplies and let's get crafting. Alright, we're going to kick this video off with the Firelight Fables candle, the White Wolf. What better candle to match with this killer craft? It's a white birch and smoky embers scent. Really awesome. And to start off, super simple, we're going to kick it off with a paper towel roll that we're just going to crunch into shape, wrap it in some aluminum foil, and just a little bit of hot glue. Once it cures, will help hold this thing into place to give us an idea of what we want for shape, to make sure it's right. Using a miniature, we always like to have one nearby for scale, just to make sure that we're not getting too crazy with this thing, whether it's too small or too large. Now you'll see some marker throughout this video on the aluminum foil. It's for me just to get an idea of where the belly and some other features of this worm are going to be, so I can keep the whole thing again to scale while I'm working on it. Now I knew the weight was going to be an issue, so I filled this with a bunch of sand, a few washers. This is going to come back to bite me later on. Total brain cramp a little bit later on. I'll let you know when. But man, I can't believe I forgot that I put washers in the bottom of this thing. When you go to cure this, let it harden. Don't do it on top of your mat because that will completely warp it. That hot glue is obviously really hot. Do it on something elevated or something that's going to have good insulation on it. Alright, there was a 4-jawed, looking worm I was going to have. Didn't really like it. I ended up going with the 3-jaw look. I don't know, whatever you want to call it. I just thought it looked a lot better. And what was really cool about this was, again, I wasn't crazy about the shape. It was amazing how awesome this Alpha knife just sliced right through the cardboard, the glue, and the aluminum foil. So I was able to just reshape it to how I wanted, add a little bit more hot glue, and cover up with some aluminum foil, and we're right back in the game. If you're enjoying this video and my channel, please consider hitting that subscribe button down below. Alright, this is what I was talking about earlier, about just kind of drawing this on, trying to get all the sections of this worm in place. Now, we're going to use clay to cover this whole thing up, DOS clay. And what's really awesome is each one of these sections here that you see, we're going to work in that one section and one section only. So sometimes working with air dry clay can get a little nerve-wracking because you got to work with it before it hardens, right? You can work one little section at a time and you're all set, no worry about rushing. Here's all the teeth that I found with my kids on the beach. Look at all these teeth. Oh, so happy to finally be using these in a video. Alright, so I tried to figure out, it took me a while actually to lay those teeth out. Figure the teeth that I wanted for the little legs, the ones I wanted for the spikes down the back, you know, the teeth for the mouth. Luckily I had just enough, believe it or not, for what I want to do here. And we're going to use some clay sculpting tools, a couple different variations. Obviously the X-Acto knife, just to help get some nice definition and lines in this. You want to go a little bit heavier with that because again, we're sculpting something. We want some nice grooves for the paint to catch when we dry brush and paint this thing. Now, the teeth were, you know, obviously going to be a little loose, a little floppy inside this air dry clay. And to keep them in place nice and solid, a little bit of Eileen's tacky glue, and I not only painted the glue over the base of the tooth, but over the whole thing. And it dries really clear, you'll never know what's on there, and we're painting this whole thing anyway. Now you can pause the video from time to time to see how I was working on certain little sections, but you know, basically we're just going to add a little texture here with this tool, and just work each section one piece at a time. Make sure you add Eileen's tacky glue under each section. That's what's going to keep the clay held on to the aluminum foil and hot glue base. Alright, now these little nubs for the back is just a little bit of clay I pressed onto the back. Again, I added a little bit of Eileen's tacky glue underneath that. And this cool little design of like how it's growing up out of the back actually helps really well to smear that clay into the already existing DOS. Alright, using some more of these tools here, rocking another really awesome, here's your one give and one give only, really awesome Into the AM shirt. Keep an eye out throughout the rest of the video for more shirts. Alright, so you can see right here where I'm being very liberal with the amount of Eileen's tacky glue that's going over this. Just be sure not to leave a big puddle, because if you do that, you're obviously going to get rid of all that cool detail work that you put into the back of the clay. Alright, this is really cool. This kind of just came to me as I was working on adding some texture into the mouth. We're going to add another layer of teeth into this thing. This was a little bit of a pain in the butt, trying to get the teeth to stay how I wanted. I ended up using a couple different pairs of tweezers. I ended up going with just using the needle nose pliers, and those worked well. Alright, so I didn't want to paint on the Eileen's tacky glue. These were actually really fragile, kind of in that clay. So I just put a little UV resin over it and blasted it with that light, and I was able to keep work on this real quick. And, you know, pause the video here just to get an idea of what the inside of this mouth looks like. We're really going to bring it to life a little bit later on with some Vallejo water texture. Alright, now, hot glue cures up really quick. I don't know if this clay is like a heat sink, but it cures up real quick, so you're going to have to just work a little fast when doing this. And this was really fun. So you're basically sculpting now with hot glue, right? It's going to do two things. That little bit of glue on the tooth is going to hold it in, but this is also going to act like the gum line of the worm. Don't worry about all the little wisps of glue that you're going to get. You can hit it with a quick blast of heat, like you see right here, and I'll get rid of all those. Okay, now this goes back to one of the very first videos I made on the channel. I keep this little container full of all kinds of little things I make with green stuff when I have leftover. And here we go, perfect example of it coming in handy. A little bit of Eileen's tacky glue, press these into place. And now we got some little eyes or sensory nodes or whatever you want to call these things on the purple worm. Just those little bottoms of the jaw looked a little too bare for me. Blasting it again with a little UV resin allows us to keep moving. So showing you how to paint this, I'm not really going to get too in detail on it. It's a lot of airbrushing. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to take a very dark purple. I'll show the colors here in just a second. And we're going to mix it with some black. Then we're going to airbrush it with just the purple color. Then the purple and a little bit of white. And then I switch to a Warlock purple, which is almost like a pink, with some of the original dark purple, which you can see right there. Then just to that Warlock purple. Then to Warlock purple and a little white. And once I was happy with that, I took a little bone white, again, a Vallejo paint, and did the teeth. Then we did a little dry brush of this wolf gray over the whole thing, so that when I went back with one more final dry brush of that Warlock purple, it really made that purple, the light purple, almost pink, stand out as a nice highlight on the worm. A little purple or violet ink in the darkest spots. Again, we'll bring out that contrast on the very close edges of that light dry brush color. It's going to really make the model pop. You can see I'm sort of doing that here with a nice white paint at the very tip of those teeth so that they really stand out over the darkness of the mouth. Alright, here's where it hits me. Like, I completely forgot that I had washes in this thing. I'm like, what is going on right here? Like, is it that hard? I didn't realize the washers were there. I wanted to put a screw in this so that I could put hot glue all around it and then put that into the base to give it something to bite onto. I even thought, like, wow, that glue's really hard, and thought I could melt through it, but no, even the White Wolf candle and heat couldn't tackle that problem. So I just went ahead and hot glued it to the aluminum foil base and formed the Sculptamold around the worm, and then put some of the rocks around the sculpture as well to kind of lock it in place. And you know, it's absolutely solid. It's not coming out. I didn't need the screw, but I mean, it would have been nice to have. Alright, super fun. These are 1mm acrylic rods. Blast it with a quick little dab of UV light using UV resin. Then you can adjust it to how you want before those bonds really set. Once you have it nice and vertical, or make it moving off to one side if you want action, right? Like the mouth is opening and the slime's flying everywhere. Then you can really blast it with that UV light. Once it cures, hit it with some of this water texture to really sell that slimy mouth. Putting some in here around the entire interior of the mouth is really going to make it come alive and look slimy. And like, yeah, you just want to stay away from it. Now, I wasn't too worried about the Sculptamold I got on these rocks. A little bit of wash on that takes care of it. And I didn't obviously show you how I painted that. It was just a brown base. We're going to use some Warworld Static Grass glue. Put some Static Grass on there. My Diorama Precipice foliage. Absolutely love it. And yeah, just a little bit of pigments on here. Some pigment fixer to lock all that in place. And this is ready either for the mantle or for the game table. Alright, I hope you really enjoyed this video. It's been a long time coming. And if you're like, well, John, I want to make this craft, but I don't have any shark's teeth, now's your excuse to buy that plane ticket to Florida or someplace tropical. Or, you know, you can get some green stuff and sculpt a whole bunch of these while you're watching TV at night. And honestly, you'll make a whole bunch of these teeth in no time. Down below is a link, again, to this week's video sponsor, Into the AM. You get some amazing shirts, 10% off your entire order if you use the link down below. And I'll tell you, really cool designs. They've got stuff from socks, hoodies, t-shirts, tank tops, you name it. And finally, please consider supporting me over on Patreon. I've got a lot of really cool tiers over there. We can join my private Facebook forum, or you can come on live here at night and hang out with me doing some video streams and the rest of the crew, where we kind of just hang out, laugh, have a good time, talk about crafting, and you can kind of get a little inside scoop on these videos before they're even released. Alright, thanks again for watching, and until next time, I'll see you around.